How's it going, everybody? It's Himbibble here with a review on the LEGO Star Wars Bad Batch Attack Shuttle, set number 75314. It comes with 6 minifigures, one of them being a Gank Droid, 2 speeders, and the Havoc Marauder from the Bad Batch. So going into it, we're first going to take a look at the speeder bikes, get these out of the way. So this is the first speeder bike. This was seen in one of the episodes, Hunter riding it, but Tech's actually riding it in the box. I don't think that's very accurate, but, you know, it's just the box art. Like, it's not a big deal. But I really like this build. I think that it's a great speeder to have just because it just looks so interesting compared to other speeders, and it looks like a bike. It looks like a chopper, like a motorcycle or something. And I think it's just a nice addition to this already amazing set. So next we're going to take a look at the Bark speeder, and this thing is an Imperial version. And it's kind of different from the one from the 501st Battle Pack. I've been seeing a lot of people saying it's pretty much the same, but there are a lot of little changes to it. Like on the inside right here, there's a little opening under this little wedge piece. And as you can see, there's no 2 blaster guns at the top. It does come with flick fire missiles, and those things just go like this. I usually don't fire them off personally, but, you know, they're nice to have for kids, and that's really what these are first and foremost for. And looking at the Havoc Marauder itself, or the Bad Batch Attack Shuttle as it's called by LEGO, it's a pretty nice set. You know, I actually personally really like it. I didn't think I'd like it as much as I did, but it's bigger than I thought it would be, even though the box art, you know, makes it look like it's almost comparatively like almost about the same size, maybe even just a little smaller, but that's okay. So the wings do come down, and I do like how they do this, and I think that it's just kind of hard for me to remember like how exactly it looks in the shots, because I think it looks a little off sometimes if the wings aren't fully like completely like almost at a obtuse angle. And they do fold right back up, and I don't think it's a big deal if, you know, you don't need a stand. I think this still looks good by itself, just sitting here like this. And if you take it in the back, you can see it's got about 3 engines, and I don't know if you can get that, but it actually has 2 rear cannons, and I actually really like the rear cannon thing, because I don't think I've seen many LEGO sets actually implement the rear cannon. And, you know, it's just a tiny little build. It just brings more play to the imagination. And the 2 blasters on the front are built pretty standardly. I think that this is a really nice way to get that, like, gun effect on it. And it's really interesting to see the inside of this thing, actually. It actually folds up and opens. And as you can see on the inside, it's pretty small in there. As you can see, this closes pretty easy too. The inside comes with 2 spots for, say, Wrecker and Echo. That's who I usually put in the back, because Tech is usually piloting the ship. And then it comes with this little gun rack on the inside, or like a weapons case. And this actually comes out. It's just kind of sitting in there. It's not like placed down. It can hold, I'd say maybe Hunter's, Tech's, and Wrecker's weapons, maybe Echo's, but there's a clip right there for Wrecker's gun because it's a little too big for this. But what I personally like to do is I actually found out that if you just take this flat tile piece right here and you take this part off, you just got a whole nother spot in there for, say, like Crosshair or maybe Omega when she comes out. I really like these 2 prints on the inside, but I'm more partial towards the one on the right. I just really like, you know, Clone Trooper, like, wallpapers and stuff, and just how, like, just it makes the Clone Troopers feel like they're people, and it's really interesting to see these kind of things in there. On the right here, I can't really get a good angle on it. You can see a Venator and what looks to be General Grievous's starship. And I think that's a nice touch. I feel like it's something the Bad Batch would have in here because they're different. And on the inside, right here at the front, there's actually 2 seats, and I usually put Tech in the front and then Hunter behind him, because that's usually what we've seen in the episodes. Closing it back up, This piece right here is printed and I love it. I didn't really like it at first. I was like, why isn't it just see-through in these? Like why couldn't they have just done something different? But I think it looks really nice, and overall, I think this ship looks a lot better than I thought it would. You got the only other stickers you have are these ones on the back, really. There might be like some on the speeders, but other than that, the shuttle pretty straightforward. At the bottom, you'll see the bottom. You know, you're not really gonna look at this thing from the bottom, so it's not like it's a big deal. There's 2 flick fire missiles that go right here and right here. But when you're playing with it, actually, when you're swishing it around, I usually rest my thumb probably around here, and sometimes like my thumb will nudge up against the flick fire missile and accidentally launch it. So it's up to you whether you want to keep them in. Usually I personally do keep them in because sometimes I like the idea of like seeing the blasters ready to go on the ships. But this time around I decided to keep them out just because it didn't really work that well for swishability for me personally. If you guys had a better time with it, then, you know, that's all good for you and all that. This part does open up on its own, but since this fin's right here, it kind of holds it back a little bit. I don't mind that personally, because it's not like if you're going to open this part up, you're just going to open the whole thing up. That's my opinion on it. But I really like this fin, this middle fin. When I first built it, I actually built it backwards on accident, and it looked pretty cool. But I think this looks much better than the other way around, and I think the wings just look super cool. And, you know, all in all, I think this is a pretty solid ship, and I think that I've been hearing a lot about the sand blue versus dark gray argument, but it's sand blue. It really has, if you get close-up shots, like in the vacuum of space, it's not going to look as good when it's in sand blue anyways, because the light's going to be reflecting off of it and everything. But I think this was the better choice, even if it's not fully sand blue, because if it was just dark gray, I think people would be like, oh, this looks a little dull. This looks a little, you know, I could get something that looks more interesting, like the Mandalorian Starfighter. Not many people would be like that when it comes to this set, considering you get the whole Bad Batch, except for Omega, of course, including the Gank Droid, which I think is a great addition. But all in all, I think that this is a solid set. So let's go ahead and take a look at the minifigures. So first we have Wrecker, and honestly, guys, I think that he looks amazing. I put the extra, because in this set, it comes with an extra piece for Wrecker's armor, which is, you know, a nice touch. You know, I don't know who you'd use it for, but come on, get in the focus there. And I don't know who else you'd use it for, but, you know, if you just want to use it as like a custom thing, that's perfectly fine. I put the extra knife because he does carry a machete, and I really, really like that whole scar and the white eye on him. It just looks super, super cool. And putting the helmet on him, it just looks so complete. I think the Iron Man helmet was the right choice. It looks exactly like Wrecker to me. And on the back, you see there's a spot for like a backpack. And, you know, I think that they could have done a backpack for Wrecker. I'm kind of glad they didn't. It's already hard enough to get the figures all to fit in the set. And, you know, I think that, you know, this was probably the right choice. And, yeah, let's take a look at the next figure. Next we have Echo, and I've always really liked Echo and Fives and all that. And it's really cool to finally get him in a set. It would have been really nice if he had, say, the handprint on the outfit. But that's not the fault of LEGO. I think that the Star Wars group should have really put that on, because it just looks so iconic. On the right arm right here, you see that he gets some arm printing, and I think it looks pretty cool. I think that, you know, it would have been nice if instead, I know he probably does get a replacement hand later, but it would have been nicer to have, say, like a screwdriver arm, because he's had it throughout the majority of the show now, guys. I just honestly think that this figure is probably one of the best in the set. And if you put the helmet on, it looks really nice. I think they should have went the extra step and maybe to make it look more like his actual helmet, put some printing on the back of the helmet. I'm sure that's probably hard to do, though. I know nothing about how Lego design processes work and how to get them so solid. So, you know, on the back here, you see a printed bag, which, you know, it's fine. I think that's a better choice to begin with, because Echo, like I said, like, everybody needs to fit in the shuttle. And with that, it would have been just more accessories to take off, and especially because they're up against the wall, you have to take the whole neck bracket off. And all in all, like, I think this is a solid figure. I think that the cloth piece would have been a little too bulky too. I think personally it's better that they printed it for the ARC Trooper. I just wish it went all the way around the side and maybe in the back, but not too worried about that. And then we have Tech, and Tech is one of my personal favorites from the Bad Batch. You know, he's just super funny, super smart, and I think he's just honestly a super interesting character to have. And the last two figures didn't really have alternate heads, and I don't know why they chose this one for Tech. I don't know what gave them, you know, the idea, but on the back here you can see he's got a raising an eyebrow, and it looks really cool. You could use it on anybody, like any other clone, but I kind of wish they did just like a neutral face for Tech, which this face works pretty well because his mouth is usually like kind of like angled in that way, I guess. And I've been seeing a lot of talk about Tech not being accurate because he's more white in the show. And, you know, I think that's kind of a fair argument. From what I understand, the Lego designers did it so then this piece on the helmet could be more of a pure white. But, like, at that point, like, it's too little prints on the sides. Like, you're not really going to notice that. Another thing I really wish is that the visor actually would go down. I thought it would, but it doesn't. It's not too big of a deal, but I think they could have easily made that work. And putting the helmet on, he just looks so good. The helmet just, I think, is the perfect size. I thought it looked a little too bulky in images, but it's kind of grown on me. And on the back, you see he actually does have a backpack. And, you know, since he's driving in the front, it's easy. You just take this part off. He'll sit right in there fine. And it covers up some beautiful back printing. Let's check that out. And I should have checked that out for Wrecker. But you'll see it's the same as on Hunter. So if you take that part off, you actually see the back of like a typical clone trooper shirt, or chest plate, I should say. And it just looks super nice. And let's go ahead and switch that. I don't know how often this face will be used by me personally for Tech, but if you wanted to use it on a clone talking to, say, like a general or anything like that, like, I think it works. And, you know, this might be my favorite figure from the set. Like, it's just such a good looking figure. Oh, he does come with 2 blaster pistols. I should have said Echo comes with a mini one like Han Solo. You know, these are great. These work perfectly, and I'm glad they're not doing the same blaster and mini blaster thing like they do for Crosshair and Echo. I think it works for those two, but for like Tech and Wrecker and Hunter, we need something different. We need more variety when it comes to the blasters, even if they look a little too gun-like. Like these already look a little too gun-like, and you have the pistols, the magnums, and they look exactly like a pistol would. So I think that complaint's a little bizarre. Here we have Hunter, the leader of the batch, and I really like this figure. I have some issues with it. I wish the bandana came attached to this. If they did that, it would have been perfect. Especially because if you take this hair off, the little skull part gets covered. And that's not a big deal in the grand scheme of things. Like, you're not going to be seeing that too often. It still looks like a phenomenal figure. His face looks so accurate. It looks exactly how he would if he was in Lego, I think. And another thing, he only comes with a knife, and I think that's fine. But, like, he does use a blaster quite frequently. And on the back, you see here, this is the same print for Wrecker. He does come with a commando backpack printed. And, you know, that, like I said, it's fine. It gets the job done. And here's his leg printing, which is also, I believe, the same for Wrecker. Maybe a little different. Nope, exactly the same. And, yeah, taking that hair off, You see that there is an alternate head, and it's just kind of a normal expression. You know, it's good to have because the angry one is always good to have as well, but you need a neutral expression, I think. Putting the helmet on, I like it. I just think that the paint job looks crude, which kind of helps in Hunter's favor because it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be like face paint, like in like the vein of like Rambo. I think he definitely looks a lot like Rambo, to be honest with you. And I just think this helmet looks really good. I think that the color on the white could have been a little stronger because it's kind of hard to see there. And the red looks fine. And, you know, it's just great to get these figures. I think that the Bad Batch, like, I wasn't too excited for them personally at first when I saw them in the Clone Wars. Their arc was a little weird, but they actually have grown to be one of my favorites, and it's really cool. And it's kind of a shame that the next figure kind of misses out on something that I was hoping for. So next we have Crosshair, and, you know, he is my personal favorite of the batch. I think he's the most interesting. I think that he's got the best personality. A lot of people's is Wreckers, but I really love Crosshair. Taking the helmet off, you see he does have his head, but he doesn't come with a hairpiece, and he really should. I think that the hairpiece for the original Tarkin, not the new version, but like the helmet hair in gray, just looks perfect for him. It may cover the print a little at the top, but it looks perfect. And at the end of the video, I'll show you what I mean by that. I also wish that we got a Republic version of him, but this, you know, this makes sense. It's where he's going to be for probably the majority of the show, if not the whole show. And it's good to get him in this form because I'm sure people would have been clamoring. I do notice that some people are like, well, is this figure supposed to be light blue or black? I think it's supposed to be light blue, but I'm sure when they got the test designs, it was in black or whatever. I don't blame them for that. But all in all, you know, he comes with a sniper. He has an amazing print. It looks very, like, Imperial. It looks like a clone trooper becoming part of the Empire. It looks really good. I just wish that we got a Republic version too, because I'm very partial to his original outfit. I think it just looks so cool. And the final figure is a Gank Droid. And I've seen some people saying, well, why did they add a Gank Droid? Why does a Gank Droid count as a figure? It's brick built. Yes, I can't deny that. It's brick built, but it just looks so good. I will say the older versions of it with the oven piece look really, really cool. But this one looks like a Gank Droid. It's got the perfect angles, the perfect, like, how wide it is. You can't go wrong with a Gank Droid being included. And especially if they're tiny pieces, it makes just a wonderful droid that just needs to be utilized much more in the Star Wars universe than it is, because they're just so iconic at this point. And if you turn him around, you know, you see he's got the two studs, which make it look like he's got the tubes for the feet, and he's got his, like, really nice looking, like, feet at the bottom. And he just looks like so cool. Like, I'm just glad that we got a Gank Droid in this set. This is my personal first Gank Droid that wasn't from the Advent calendar from last year, which is, you know, that one's cool. But this is an official Gank Droid. I just think it looks so nice, and I think that they really made the right decision including the Gank Droid. I think that they could have probably included something else, maybe a Kaminoan, but, you know, that, I don't know if a Kaminoan will happen anytime soon. I would be surprised. But, you know, all in all, the figures are really good. And yeah, final thoughts. Yeah, that was my look at the Lego Star Wars Bad Batch Shuttle set number 75314. It retails for $100, $99.95 in the US, and it released everywhere yesterday. Now, this set is amazing. I think that for a kid would really have a lot of fun with this. Swishability, it comes with 2 speeders. You get 6 great minifigures, one of them being a droid, which is great, and it's an interesting droid that I don't think we get as much of compared to other ones like Astromech or Protocol. But as you can see, like, there are some things that I think could be improved about the set, and there are a lot of things that I really like about it. I think that Crosshair not coming with a hairpiece is kind of a bummer. I don't know if you can... Trying to get that to focus. It won't focus too well at the moment, but let's see if it'll zoom. You can kind of see. I think it personally looks a lot better. If you think that he looks better a little bald or for another reason that other than that, let me know in the comments below. And I'm just super happy with this set. I'm glad that I got it. I'm glad that I was able to get the full Bad Batch in one set. And I think that's another amazing draw to it, because later on I guarantee they're going to have sets with just Tech, just Wrecker, just Hunter, just Echo, just Omega, if they do more sets, of course, which I hope they do, because, you know, the Bad Batch is just carrying Star Wars into this new generation, and I think it's really interesting just in general to see where the Republic goes after the Empire comes in, and how everything changes and affects everyone in that era. So, yeah, those are my final thoughts, and I'd give this set maybe a 9 out of 10. Minor nitpicks, like maybe more room in the interior, maybe a hairpiece for Crosshair, maybe backpacks for those who want them. Hunter with a blaster, any kind of blaster is fine. I know he doesn't really use a particular one. And the inside, I think the weapon rack, in all honesty, I think that just kind of takes up a lot of space. I think that I'd rather have every Bad Batch member, except for the Gank Droid. You can't fit the Gank Droid in there, unfortunately. I'd rather have them all fit in there. If you prefer the weapons rack, you know, that's fine. And I also would like to say, like, with the helmets, when you take them off when they're in the shuttle, because sometimes you kind of have to take them off. Like, I think that especially if you get rid of that weapons rack in there and you put somebody in that spot, it doesn't fit. It wasn't made to do it without the helmets off. And you probably would want to put somebody like Crosshair or Echo in it, and not somebody like Wrecker or like Tech, who have like the 2 pieces or a hair piece. And, you know, I think this set could have maybe done without the Bark Speeder. I think it's a nice addition, getting an Imperial Bark Speeder. You could also just use it as like a different Legion of Clone Troopers speeder. It's nice to get it in another color so soon. And I'm just pretty happy with this set. And this is my first LEGO review. And I did it unscripted, so be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. I know people say that a lot, but it does help. And if you like what I see, be sure to tell me in the comments and tell me what you'd want to see me review next. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day. Bye-bye. How's it going, everybody? It's Himbibble here with a review on the LEGO Star Wars Bad Batch Attack Shuttle, set number 75314. It comes with 6 minifigures, one of them being a Gank Droid, 2 speeders, and the Havoc Marauder from the Bad Batch.